and long lessons and explanations. No one had ever told her something so direct and emotionless. Daniel continued, "Respect is not something that belongs to old species or young species. Respect is something given by action." Riela blinked. She did not know what to say. Daniel did not raise his voice. He did not sound angry. If anything, he sounded tired. "Princess," he said, "you have been taught to see humans as small. But you will learn that humans stand tall, not because of our size or age, but because we choose to walk forward, not fight every shadow behind us." He turned back to the stars. Riela swallowed hard. She had thought humans were unpredictable, wild, emotional creatures. But Daniel's calm words shook her more than a shout ever could. She bowed her head slightly, an instinct she had not been trained for. "I will do better," she whispered. Daniel gave a soft nod, not looking at her. And for some strange reason, Riela felt relieved. Inside the hall, however, things were not calm. Diplomats whispered nervously. News drones hovered everywhere. Council members exchanged anxious looks. Humanity had not issued any statement. They had not called for discussion, nor correction, nor apology. Silence from humans was unusual, and therefore alarming to many. Some species respected this silence, others feared it. And a few thought it might hide something dangerous. Rumors began to grow like storms. Are humans planning retaliation? Are they offended beyond repair? Are they preparing a quiet response? What does it mean when a human walks away? Even aliens who prided themselves on logic could not ignore the tension. The Voranth advisors rushed around Princess Riela in a panic. One whispered harshly in her ear, "You have stirred the human spirit. Do you know what that will cause?" Riela looked at the floor. She did not know, but she wanted to. Back on the balcony, Daniel watched the stars drift past the station. He knew more trouble would come. Silence created questions, and questions created fear. He hoped the galaxy understood the truth soon. Humans did not walk away because they were weak. Humans walked away because sometimes that was the stronger choice. And the galaxy had no idea what humans could accomplish when they chose peace instead of pride. But they were about to learn. The day after the insult incident, the Galactic Peace Summit moved into closed-door sessions. Delegates from every world walked through the long crystal halls with nervous steps. The silence of humanity had become a story of its own, spreading faster than any official announcement. Some believed humans were preparing a formal protest. Others believed humans were planning something much worse. But Ambassador Daniel Reeve did none of those things. He sat in the small Earth Embassy room. A quiet space with soft lights and simple furniture. Very different from the bright, ceremonial architecture of the Galactic Station. He drank warm tea, typed calmly on his tablet, and answered messages from Earth with short, steady replies. To an outsider, it would look like nothing important was happening. But the galaxy was not used to humans being quiet. Not at all. The council speaker called an emergency meeting to discuss the potential instability caused by cultural misunderstanding. It was their polite way of describing the princess's insult and Daniel's silent walk. 16 species gathered in a circular chamber shaped like a glowing bowl. Representatives sat in floating seats that adjusted to each body shape. Some leaned forward, tense. Others kept their faces unreadable. When Daniel entered, the room hushed. Even beings who did not have faces somehow appeared to look at him. He took his place without bowing, without speaking, just a single nod of acknowledgement. The council speaker began. "Ambassador Reeve, the events of yesterday caused discomfort among many observers. Your silence has been interpreted in several ways. We wish to understand your position." Daniel folded his hands calmly. "There is no position," he said. "The princess insulted humanity. I chose not to escalate it. That is all." Murmurs spread around the chamber. One reptilian representative hissed, "Humans do not usually ignore fights. History proves this." Daniel slowly lifted one eyebrow. "History also proves we can choose peace." A fungal diplomat released a puff of orange spores, its species' way of signaling confusion. "But you left the stage without speaking. Was this a threat?" No, Daniel replied. It was a choice. Another murmur. The aliens were clearly struggling to understand something humans found simple. Daniel continued. When a child insults you, you do not fight them. You do not shout at them. You let time, maturity, and lessons do their work. Princess Riela, who had been invited to attend, felt her cheeks grow warm. She lowered her gaze. Daniel did not look at her directly, but his next words struck deeply. Humanity does not build respect by winning arguments. We build respect by acting with dignity. That is all. The council speaker nodded slowly. Your words are heard, Ambassador. But you must understand that several governments fear hidden consequences. Daniel's lips curved in a small, tired smile. If humans planned something, he said, the entire galaxy would already know. We are not subtle. Some delegates actually laughed softly, nervously, but genuinely. The tension dropped just a little. However, not everyone felt relieved. High Minister Dravik of the Vorinth, a tall, sharp-featured man with cold violet eyes, leaned forward. Ambassador Reeve, he said. Your silence made the princess appear foolish. That could be interpreted as an intentional humiliation. Daniel met his gaze without blinking. Her words made her appear foolish. My silence did nothing except avoid conflict. The minister's jaw tightened. But before he could respond, Princess Riela spoke quietly. Minister. He is correct. Gasps filled the chamber. Riela continued, though her voice trembled. I acted with pride, not wisdom. Ambassador Reeve did not use his position to shame me. I misjudged him. Daniel turned slightly, acknowledging her with a gentle nod but not interrupting. Riela breathed out slowly. If anyone is to blame for the tension, it is me. The room went silent. This was the first time many had ever heard a Vorinth royal admit fault, especially one so young. Minister Dravik stared at her, shocked. His eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. The council speaker concluded the session, and the delegates slowly floated away from their seats, whispering among themselves. What troubled them most wasn't the insult, it was humanity's reaction, or rather, the lack of one. Later that evening, Princess Riela returned to her quarters. Her room was decorated with traditional Vorinth art, sharp geometric metal sculptures, dark banners, and glowing blue crystal patterns. It was beautiful but cold, much like the culture she represented. Her young attendant, Sylar, entered quietly. Princess, Sylar said, the advisors want to meet with you. They say the situation is becoming dangerous. Riela sighed. She felt older than her 14 years. Everything feels dangerous right now. Sylar hesitated. Do you fear the humans? She shook her head. No. I fear not understanding them. That night, she opened her datapad and began studying human history. She expected to find stories of violence, conquest, and chaos, what the Vorinth elders always described. But she found something else too. Stories of cooperation, sacrifice, kindness under pressure, people who chose peace when war would have been easier. Humans were not simple. They were not predictable. They were not weak or strong in the way she understood power. They were something different. For the first time, she realized she had insulted something she didn't understand at all. Meanwhile, Daniel sat in the Earth Embassy lounge, typing reports on a tablet. He paused only to take sips of tea. He looked peaceful, but his mind was busy. He knew silence had consequences. He knew even one insult could shift interstellar politics. He knew walking away had sent a message, one he did not intend to send so loudly. His second-in-command, Chief Analyst Maya Trent, entered the room. You caused a storm, she said lightly. Daniel sighed. I caused nothing. I avoided something. Maya sat across from him. Some species think you're preparing a strategic response. Others think humanity is hiding a plan. OP. Commander He 17, I made Car-40 Bilden Spock. And what do you think? Daniel asked. I think you scared them, she said honestly. They expected shouting. They expected emotion. They expected a reaction. Instead, you gave them nothing. Daniel leaned back in his chair. People fear what they cannot measure. Maya smiled, humans included. He chuckled softly. True. She leaned forward. What are you going to do now? Nothing, he answered. Let the galaxy think. Let the princess learn. Let things settle. Maya sighed. You know patience is not a common skill among diplomats. Daniel smiled faintly. That's why they keep a few old humans around. The next morning brought a new problem. Rumors spread again, this time whispering that someone inside the Vorinth Empire wanted to use the insult incident to break the alliance with humans. Some believed the Vorinth military had grown nervous about humanity's rapid technological progress. Others claimed political rivals wanted to embarrass the princess by worsening the crisis she started. No one knew the truth, but Princess Riela, still studying late into the night, accidentally overheard two Vorinth nobles speaking outside her chamber door. The human must be provoked again. If he reacts, we can accuse them of aggression, and if he stays silent, we claim they hide intentions. Either path weakens the alliance. Riela's blood chilled. They were using her mistake as a weapon. She covered her mouth to stay quiet. Her heart beat wildly. She knew she should walk away, pretend she heard nothing. But Daniel's calm voice echoed in her mind. Respect is given by action. So the next morning, she did something unexpected. She went straight to the human embassy. She stood nervously at the door until Maya Trent noticed her and let her in. Daniel looked up from his tablet, surprised. Princess? She bowed her head, a gesture no Vorinth royal used lightly. I need to tell you something, she said, voice shaking. And it may be worse than the insult. Daniel set aside his tea. Then speak, he said softly. Riela took a long breath. There are people in my empire who want to destroy the human Vorinth alliance, and they plan to use my mistake to do it. Daniel's eyes sharpened, not with anger, but focus. Tell me everything. And for the first time, Riela understood why humanity was feared and respected, not because they shouted, not because they fought, but because when a human decided to act, their calm was more powerful than any threat. And now, Daniel Reeve was no longer walking away. He was stepping forward. Princess Riela stood in the Earth Embassy room, her hands shaking slightly. She had never broken protocol so boldly before. Vorinth royalty were trained to keep secrets, maintain distance, and never show fear. But right now, she felt fear clearly, because this was bigger than an insult, bigger than pride, bigger than her. Daniel Reeve listened without interrupting once. He didn't blink. He didn't look angry. He simply listened with calm, focused attention. Riela finished explaining everything she overheard about the plan to use the insult incident against humans. Silence followed. She hated silence now. After Daniel's quiet reaction in the summit hall, silence meant something heavy, something important. Finally, Daniel stood and walked to the window. The glowing stars outside reflected on the glass like scattered jewels. Princess Riela, he said slowly, you understand the danger of what you just told me, yes? Riela nodded immediately. Yes. If the nobles discover I spoke to you, I could be removed from my training. My title could even be questioned. But this alliance is important. And I made the first mistake. So I must fix this. Daniel turned toward her. You didn't have to come here. Yet you did. That shows courage. Her face warmed. No adult in her empire ever called her courageous. They only said she was talented, or useful, or promising. But courage was something different, something earned. Maya Trent entered the room quietly. I heard part of that. Princess, what exactly do these nobles plan? Krant, Riela explained in more detail. How they wanted to provoke humans again. How they wanted to twist the narrative. How they hoped to make humanity look unstable or dangerous. If successful, they would push the Vorinth Empire to distance itself from humanity or even form alliances against them. When she finished, Maya exchanged a serious look with Daniel. This could break the entire summit, Maya said. Daniel nodded. And worse, it could spark conflict between multiple species. Riela's stomach tightened. She hadn't realized it was that serious. Daniel spoke gently. Princess, do you know who the conspirators are? Riela hesitated. She remembered the two voices she heard. Both recognizable. Both powerful. Yes, she whispered. Minister Dravik and Counselor Vesh. Maya exhaled sharply. Those are two of the highest-ranking nobles in the Vorinth government. Daniel rubbed his chin thoughtfully. If we expose them, they will retaliate. Hard. Riela's eyes widened. Retaliate against who? Daniel answered without hesitation. Against you. And possibly against humanity. Riela felt a sudden, cold weight in her chest. No. Daniel's voice was firm. Nothing is hopeless. We simply need to be smarter than they are. His confidence steadied her. Humans were strange, she thought. They reacted emotionally to small matters, yet calmly to disasters. What must we do? She asked. Daniel paced slowly. We need proof. Something undeniable. Something the Council cannot ignore. Maya added. If we can prove the nobles are manufacturing conflict, the Council will remove them immediately. But we need recordings, messages, traces of their orders. Anything. Riela straightened her posture. I can access parts of the Vorinth communication archives. Not all of it, but maybe enough. Daniel gave a small approving nod. Then we worked together. A strange feeling warmed her chest. It felt like pride? No. Something different. Cooperation. Partnership. A sense that she was not alone. Yes, she said softly. Together. Later that night, Riela snuck into the Vorinth embassy. It was risky, but she knew the security patterns. The guards trusted her completely. She was the princess, after all. And trust sometimes created gaps in security. She entered the restricted archive chamber. The room was dark, filled with floating blue screens and humming machines. She placed her palm on a small scanner. It glowed. Identity confirmed. Princess Riela, a digital voice said. The screens lit up. Her fingers moved quickly, searching through communication logs, reviewing encrypted messages, organizing suspicious conversations. She found fragments nothing complete, but enough to suggest the nobles were coordinating something secret. One file caught her eye. It was an encrypted message labeled Operation Divide. Her heart pounded. She tapped it. Access denied. She tried again. Access denied. Her breath quickened. This one file could hold everything. She stepped back, realizing this was beyond her clearance. She needed a different path. But before she could continue searching, a cold voice echoed behind her. Princess Riela. What exactly are you doing? She froze. Minister Dravik stepped from the shadows, his violet eyes sharp as knives. His long coat fluttered slightly as he moved closer. You should be asleep, child, he said. Not poking around in matters far above your understanding. Riela swallowed hard. I was just reviewing my lessons. Dravik smiled thinly. Lessons? In a restricted archive? She forced herself not to step back. I have a right to be here. You have a right, Dravik repeated slowly. To obey. Not to investigate your elders. Her hands trembled, but she held her ground. If you interfere any further, Dravik said quietly, your future will vanish. Do you understand? She wanted to shout. She wanted to call him a coward. But her training held her still. Dravik placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. Remember your place, princess. Then he walked away. Riela waited until he disappeared. Then she ran. Back in the Earth Embassy, she burst into the room breathless. Daniel and Maya stood immediately. What happened? Daniel asked. Riela explained everything, how Dravik caught her, how he threatened her, how she nearly accessed forbidden files. Daniel's face hardened. It was the closest she had seen him to angry. Not loud, not fiery, but controlled, sharp, dangerous. They're moving faster than expected, he said. Maya added, if Dravik is aware the princess is searching, they may accelerate their plan. Riela felt tears gather in her eyes, not from fear, but from frustration. I'm sorry. I failed. Daniel knelt slightly so he was eye level with her. His voice softened. You did not fail, he said. You were brave. You gathered information. You warned us. That is more than many adults would have done. Her chest tightened. But we still have no proof. Daniel stood. Then we find it another way. Before he could continue, an alarm beeped on Maya's tablet. She checked it. Her eyes widened. Oh no. Daniel frowned. What is it? The Voranth nobles just requested an emergency session without humans present. Riela paled. They're starting the plan. Daniel grabbed his coat. Then we stopped them. The emergency session took place in a small council chamber. Representatives arrived confused, unsure why humanity was excluded. Minister Dravik stood confidently in the center, holding a datapad. Esteemed council members, he announced loudly. I have disturbing evidence that humanity is planning secret retaliation over the insult incident. Evidence that threatens galactic peace. Gasps filled the room. Riela whispered to Daniel from the hallway. He is lying. All of it. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then it's time we tell the truth. He stepped into the chamber before anyone could stop him. Dravik's smile vanished. Ambassador Reeve? The speaker said. You were not invited. Daniel walked calmly to the center. With respect, I do not need an invitation to defend my species from false accusations. Dravik hissed. You dare interrupt. Yes, Daniel said simply. The room fell silent under the weight of his calm voice. Riela stepped forward, trembling but determined. I have information the council must hear. Dravik went pale. Princess, what are you doing? Daniel looked at her gently. Tell them. And she did. She revealed everything what she overheard. How the nobles planned to provoke humans, how they intended to fabricate evidence. She even described Dravik catching her in the archive. The chamber exploded with outrage, confusion, shock. Dravik tried to protest. She is a child. She lies. Daniel stepped beside her. She is telling the truth, and I stand with her. His calm voice was stronger than shouting. The council speaker raised a glowing hand. Silence. The members obeyed. The speaker studied Riela carefully. Princess, do you swear your statement is complete and honest? Riela lifted her chin. Yes. The speaker turned to Dravik. Minister, you are under investigation. Dravik's face twisted with rage and fear. And before the guards could reach him, he shouted, You humans don't understand what you've started. Daniel replied quietly, Maybe not. But we understand how to finish it with truth. As guards escorted Dravik away, the chamber buzzed with shock. Daniel placed a gentle hand on Riela's shoulder. You were brave today, he said, and you helped save the Alliance. Riela looked up at him, eyes bright. We saved it together. For the first time since the insult, she smiled not proudly, but with real warmth. The crisis was not over yet. The final battle would come in the full council session. But now, humanity and the young princess stood united. The final session of the Galactic Council was set for early morning. The chamber glowed softly, but the tension inside was like a thick fog. Representatives from hundreds of worlds floated into their seats, whispering in every language known across the stars. Every holographic screen displayed the Voranth nobles under investigation. The council had rarely seen such drama unfold so openly, especially with the young Princess Riela at its center. Ambassador Daniel Reeve and Princess Riela entered together. Daniel's calm presence seemed to steady the room. He did not raise his voice. He did not gesture. He simply walked forward, shoulders straight, eyes focused, and let his silence carry strength. Behind him, Riela followed, holding her head high for the first time in days. Minister Dravik and Councillor Vesh were brought forward by the council guards. Their faces were pale, their confidence shaken. For the first time, they were not in control. The noble empire they had counted on was now watching their every move. The council speaker floated to the center and addressed the room. We are gathered to decide the future of the Alliance. Evidence has been presented that suggests deliberate manipulation of diplomatic events. The accused have a right to speak. Dravik stepped forward first. His violet eyes flashed with anger. This is absurd. Princess Riela is a child. She does not understand the consequences of her statements. Ambassador Reeve is interfering in our internal matters. Humanity has no right to involve itself, the room murmured. Some delegates leaned forward, unsure who to believe. Others whispered to each other. Humans do not act without cause. Daniel spoke quietly, his voice carrying across the chamber despite its softness. I am not here to interfere in internal matters. I am here to present the truth. Humanity did nothing wrong. We reacted only when innocent parties were threatened. That is all. Dravik scoffed. And you expect us to believe that your species is honorable? That your silence yesterday meant nothing? Daniel's calm gaze met his. My silence meant everything. It meant I chose not to escalate conflict unnecessarily. It meant I trusted reason over anger. It meant I respected the truth. The council fell silent. No one argued. No one spoke. Even the other Vorinth nobles seemed unsettled by the humans' quiet authority. It was the kind of power the galaxy rarely saw, one that came not from weapons, not from fleets, but from restraint and intelligence. Then Riela spoke. Her voice was soft but clear, carrying a weight beyond her 14 years. I have made mistakes. I insulted Ambassador Reeve. I allowed my pride to blind me. But I also know the truth. These nobles, she gestured toward Dravik and Vesh, have planned to manipulate events, to provoke conflict, and to hide their actions behind lies. I will not allow my mistake to destroy the alliance. Gasps spread through the chamber. A young princess boldly accusing high-ranking nobles? Few in the galaxy had ever seen such courage. Dravik's face contorted with rage. She is a child. You cannot trust her judgment. Daniel stepped closer. She is a child. And yet she has done what many adults failed to do. She acted honestly, bravely, and responsibly. Counselor Vesh, who had been silent until now, stammered. This is ridiculous. You cannot. Daniel interrupted softly but firmly. We cannot allow lies to decide the fate of the galaxy. Evidence will speak. Princess Riela has provided testimony, and we have supporting data showing your coordination to provoke conflict. This is not opinion. This is fact. The council speaker raised a glowing hand. We will review the evidence presented by Ambassador Reeve and Princess Riela. Let all delegates examine the recordings, communications, and logs. Any interference or obstruction will be seen as a violation of council law. Within minutes, holographic screens lit up, displaying the communications Dravik and Vesh had tried to hide. Their plans, messages, and secret conversations were now visible to every representative. There was no denying it. The conspiracy was laid bare. Riela felt her heart pound. The nobles were cornered, exposed. She had risked everything to come here, to speak the truth. And now, she saw the power of honesty and action, guided by restraint. Dravik tried one last effort. Even if these logs are accurate, humanity cannot claim superiority. You provoked us by your mere presence. Daniel's voice remained calm, steady, and measured. We provoked nothing. We reacted with integrity when a young princess discovered a threat to the alliance. That is all we did, and that is enough. The council murmured. Some representatives nodded quietly, impressed. Others were still shocked. But all could see one truth clearly. Humanity acted with dignity, strategy, and courage, all without raising a single unnecessary hand. The speaker turned to Dravik and Vesh. You have been found guilty of planning deliberate provocation, falsifying events, and endangering the alliance. You are removed from your positions, effective immediately. Further penalties will be determined by the Vorinth Council, but no action may be taken against the ambassador or Princess Riela. Dravik's face was pale. Vesh looked stunned. They had underestimated a child and a human, and now they were paying the price. Riela breathed out slowly. For the first time in days, she felt relief. She had done what she could. She had acted courageously, and humanity had supported her not with aggression, but with trust, calm, and intellect. Daniel placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You did well, he said. You faced fear, dishonesty, and intimidation, and you never gave up. She looked up at him, her eyes bright. "We did this together." "Indeed," Daniel said softly. The chamber slowly emptied as delegates left, murmuring about the human ambassador's quiet strength and the princess's courage. The rumor of humanity's silent power spread further than any announcement or speech could have made. Outside the council chamber, the stars stretched endlessly. Riella stood with Daniel on the observation balcony. The galaxy seemed peaceful now, though she knew dangers would always exist. But the moment felt triumphant. "Ambassador," she said, "I understand humans better now. You are not loud or aggressive like other species. But your strength, your calm, it speaks louder than words." Daniel smiled faintly. "Humans rise not by shouting or fear. We rise by acting with integrity, by choosing what is right rather than what is easy." Riella nodded. "I want to learn from you. Not just for me, but for my people. Perhaps humans and Vorinth can work together." "Truly," Daniel's eyes twinkled. "That would be a wise choice." From that day, the incident that could have been a diplomatic disaster became a lesson for the galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their restraint, intelligence, and integrity could change outcomes without firing a single weapon or raising a single voice. And a young princess learned that courage, honesty, and collaboration were often stronger than pride or aggression. Riella returned to her empire, determined to practice what she had learned. Daniel returned to the Earth Embassy, calm as ever, knowing that humanity had once again proven itself not by force, but by wisdom, restraint, and quiet action. The galaxy would not soon forget the day the 4-year-old alien princess offended the human, and he simply turned and walked away. For it was in that silence that true strength revealed itself, and the alliance, once fragile, was stronger because of it.